My passion began when I was a child. I was born in 1943. In the town where I lived, there were only two men that owned a motorcycle. And I was able to distinguish one from the other just by the sound of the engines.
It was, in fact, the sound of engines that led Tamburini to become a motorcycle designer. In 1961, he attended the World Championship race at Monza, Italy. The sound of MV Agusta's racing engines captured his imagination, and from that day until now, he has dedicated his life to motorcycles. Remarkably, even though Massimo Tamburini is the grand master of Italian motorcycle design, he neither lives nor works in Italy. Massimo Tamburini makes his home below an ancient castle in San Marino. It seems an appropriate place for the temperamental artist, a man who guards his privacy with the same degree of passion he uses to create his designs. Founded in the year 301, San Marino is the oldest constitutional republic in the world. A landlocked little enclave 1/10 the size of New York City that is completely surrounded by Italy. This is where Tamburini has created a private design studio. It is at least a 4-hour drive from his studio to the MV Agusta factories, and cameras are rarely allowed inside. It is a building where Massimo Tamburini creates both magic and art. He can be stubborn, and he can be extremely temperamental.
First of all, you have to deal with the genius that we have here, that is Massimo Tamburini. So if you talk about the style and performance and how to connect, first of all, you have to work with him. It's not easy because he is the man who is going to ask you to design and redesign the same piece 10 times before he says, okay.
It is a style that Massimo Tamburini has been perfecting for a very long time. These are never-before-seen sketches from deep inside the vaults of his design studio. They show drawings of an iconic motorcycle Tamburini designed while working at Ducati, the Ducati 916. Then, when Massimo went to work at MV Agusta, he began drawing sketches to do the impossible. Create a new MV Agusta that is even more iconic and spectacular than the Ducati. Looking at his early sketches of the F4 provides an insight into Massimo Tamburini's creative soul and proof that the Michelangelo of motorcycles has always been a man well ahead of his time. These early sketches of the new MV Agusta were drawn years before they actually tried to build the bike. Finally, 7 long years after the Castiglione family buys MV Agusta, and after years of Tamburini sketching everything from individual parts to complete motorcycles, they show the world their new creation, a new MV Agusta named the F4. Virtually overnight, the F4 became one of the most lusted-after motorcycles ever created. The initial production run of 300 bikes sold out immediately to people like King Juan Carlos of Spain and world leaders in finance and fashion. The F4 was the ultimate modern sport bike, and with it, one of the oldest names in motorcycles, MV Agusta, was reborn. Massimo Tamburini's design philosophy for creating the new F4 can be described in a single word: perfection. He is a man who will not be hurried. He estimates the design and evolution of the F4 has taken him and his design team 60,000 hours. That's the equivalent of one man spending 30 years designing one motorcycle. It takes that long because Tamburini believes every single part of a motorcycle is important.
If you want to understand our philosophy, you must understand that we take the same amount of care with every single part, from the ones that are visible to the ones you cannot see.
Attention to every single detail is what makes an MV Agusta more than just a motorcycle. More than just an Italian motorcycle.
Every part is a piece of art. You know, they really approach every piece, all the forgings and every little thing. You know, when you work on an MV Agusta, if you take it apart, it just gets more beautiful.
To me, that's Italian. That's what Italians do so well. And I know a lot of my American friends, if we couldn't be American, we'd want to be Italian because of things like the MV.
What is also classically Italian is the relationship between Massimo Tamburini, the artist, and Claudio Castiglione, the patriarch of Italian motorcycles. A relationship based on mutual respect and each man's personal passion for motorcycles.
After working with Massimo Tamburini for 25 years, the only problem we have is that we each constantly want the best from one another. We are always searching for the best. It's a dream to work together with Massimo Tamburini.
A dream that gives Tamburini complete control in creating the bike that brings MV Agusta back to life.
We were absolutely free to create every single part of the motorcycle from scratch.
That freedom includes creating one of the hallmarks of the F4 design, an exhaust system that is pure beauty to both the eyes and the ears.
I thought that the mufflers should look like 4 organ pipes with different sizes, so that the exhaust sound would be like music to the ear. Castiglione was able to put me in contact with an organ maker to better understand the process we needed to undertake in order to achieve the results we wanted.
Tamburini is a remarkable man who takes a very classic approach to creating cutting-edge designs. While others in his studio use computers and 3D design software, Tamburini is most comfortable holding classic tools and gently bringing blocks of clay to life. He believes in artistic integrity for everything on a motorcycle. He takes great pleasure in his handcrafted rear support for the fuel tank, even though only a mechanic taking apart the bike would ever see it. And he's not afraid to turn a wrench, often personally testing his visions of how to build a better motorcycle to improve what already may have seemed perfect.
Whatever beauty is to you, he seems to be able to predict that. You know, he finds it. I mean, he really finds it, and that's the difference with Tamburini versus others. He's making shapes more than designing a product, almost.
While the Michelangelo motorcycle sculpts clay with hand tools, behind another normally locked door in his private studio, there's an entirely different approach to design. This is where a staff of 14 younger artists and engineers use a state-of-the-art computer system to bring the master's designs to life.
This is an example of a model that's having one of its parts modified. We're trying to reduce its weight, but keep the part just as strong. To do that, we're using a special engineering software that allows us to simulate how the new part would work in the real world. We can analyze and understand with great precision how the new part will perform before we ever make that part.
It is a full-blown race bike, disguised with lights and mirrors to make it look like a street bike. But it doesn't feel like a street bike when you ride it.
It's an amazing motorcycle. It's competitive, but the experience that you get from it is unlike anything else. It's burlier, it's just meatier, and it just, man, you get on it, it's hard, you're in a riding position. You know, half measures, unacceptable. You have to go. It wants to run.